Hey y'all, hi. So it's the end of the year. I'm decluttering my entire makeup collection, and I'm starting with blushes because if I know one thing about you out there, it's that you love a blush declutter. This is the current state of my blush collection. You know, it's been bigger in the past. It's gained some members since the vicious cuts that I made at the end of last year, but it's still pretty edited. However, I am going through a pretty light makeup phase of life. And I'm also going through a phase of life during which having a streamlined collection of things that's easy to keep organized is a priority. I'm tempted to be twice as vicious as I was last year and get this down to what could truly be considered a minimalist blush collection. And as I go through, we'll see, I may give in to that temptation. But at the same time, I'm aware that a phase of life is just that, a phase of life. My passion for various types of makeup and various kinds of beauty products has been known to wane and then wax again in the past. And there might come a day not too far in the future when I'm suddenly massively passionate about blush and wish I had more than a minimalist collection. So I'm going to try to hold it lightly, try to keep an open mind, not necessarily be too obsessively harsh, but do some delicious whittling and weeding nonetheless. If this happens to be your first time to my channel, I hope you enjoy this video. I love makeup, but I don't want to have too much of it. And in my line of work, that actually takes somewhat of an effort. And doing a big declutter every once in a while for me is part of that effort. If you like it, I hope you'll subscribe. This is just the first in a series of videos that are all about to come down the pipe. And now, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Okay, so I said blush declutter. I call it a blush declutter, but it's really cheek products at large. All of my blushes, bronzers, and highlighters are here. To me, cheek makeup is one thing, and sometimes I'll use a combination of, say, bronzer and blush to create my cheek. Sometimes I'll use a combination of highlighter and blush or highlighter and bronzer or just one of any of those three kinds of makeup. To me, it's all cheek makeup and it's all one category. I store it all together and I kind of use it indiscriminately together. I think what I want to do is to start by pulling out the products that immediately excite me the most. The things that I know there's no chance that I will declutter. Because then when I'm going through the things that I'm not sure about, I can compare each thing to the excitement and the surety of my feelings about those initial products that I pick. So that's what I'm going to do. One by one, the absolute no-brainer keeps. The first things that spring to mind for that are some of these products that I had up there in the corner. These two from Surratt, which I acquired over this past year in the course of testing a lot of Surratt for YouTube. This is the Artistique Liquid Blush in Barbea Papa. It's a bright pink, but it blends out to something really quite natural on my skin. I love the texture. I love the color, the finish. I love the packaging. I really love Surratt. I like using this quite a lot. And this is its partner, the Torch Lumiere in Rose Diamante. It's a highlighting stick. It gives a very shiny, glossy, really wet look finish, but it feels dry and things don't stick to it. I ended up loving this so much. I don't think I can swatch everything, but I just have to show you this. I mean, come on. That glossiness without tackiness, one of my favorites from the year for sure. And then this blush from e.l.f. I'm just, really into because it's new. It's also an easy, just throw it on and go everyday color for me. It's not too strong in any one direction. I would love it if it were even more neutral, but it's neutral enough. And it's just the texture and the finish and how blendable it is. I've been enjoying it so much since it first arrived, and there's no way that I'm going to part with it this soon. I feel like I might as well give you a swatch of this, which I'm actually remembering is called Barba Papa. I mean, I think it's pronounced Barba Papa, not Barbe, which means father's beard, but also means cotton candy. I feel that pink is bright enough that it's kind of fluorescing under the lights, but hopefully you can get a sense of how it would buff out to something quite natural. Okay, other no-brainers, easy keeps. One of them is this, the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand in Pillow Talk. Is it the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand and it just happens to be in the shade Pillow Talk? Or are the other matte beauty blush wands not called the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand? Nothing is more confusing than Charlotte Tilbury. Product names, categories, everything being called Pillow Talk. But it's the texture, the blendability, and the kind of dusky neutrality of this, which we determined during my Charlotte Tilbury video that Pillow Talk is not just one color, right? You can have a Pillow Talk lip liner, a Pillow Talk lipstick, a powder blush, a liquid blush, and they're all actually different colors. So you're not really getting a guaranteed specific shade with Pillow Talk. However, this version of Pillow Talk, the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand Pillow Talk, the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand Easy Liquid Blush Pillow Talk is beautiful. For me, another effortless daily wear product that blends into the skin, sets down, doesn't transfer. This is the kind of thing that I'm really appreciating these days, and that when I do wear blush, I'm reaching for a lot. I am still not ready to part with the Chantecaille Cheek Gelée in the shade Happy. Again, one that it can be kind of hard to capture on camera, these bright pinks. I don't know why. Or maybe it's just the monitor and it'll look great. But it's like a bright cotton candy pink in person, this thick swatch. And then it blends out. There's something about the gel version. This is like a very high-end Glossier cloud paint. That's what this is. And there's something about the slight sheen that's in it, the skin-like gel. Because it's so bright, it seems like it's going to be a lot. And then it just ends up being so natural. This is another one that I wear constantly, honestly. Phytosurgence Condensate, not going anywhere. It's the texture, it's the color. This is just such a dream. This is getting close to the like pale grayish blush of my dreams. I feel like if it were this, but a few shades grayer and several shades lighter, that would kind of be old gum. As it is though, this blends out. Sorry, that's such a messy swatch, but this blends out to such a beautiful color. It's absolutely one of my favorite blushes. And this formula, this is one of my favorite cream blush formulas of all time. It's like a melting chocolate truffle. Merit Fox, I just know that I'm not going to part with it because again, I'm wearing it all the time. Like I look into my blush drawer and I'm just trying to slap on some makeup, trying to brighten up my cheeks a little bit, and I grab Merit Fox. This is also different, you may notice from everything that I've just shown. It's kind of a ruddy red shade, but it is the sheerness, the sort of tint quality that makes it work really well because it blends out, it kind of integrates into my skin color and looks very healthy and beautiful, and I love wearing it. These are the neutral shades from Kaki's Finding Ferdinand collab. I actually gave the bright shades to a friend who was looking for some blushes, and they were just the perfect colors for her. But these aren't going anywhere. They're so special. The colors are spot on. And yeah, I'm just nowhere near done playing with them and wearing them. And then there's this Chantecaille blush. Honestly, until I opened up all of those compacts, I had kind of lost touch with how great a blush this is. And I think this was limited edition. I'm so sorry. I think it was limited edition like 2 holiday seasons ago. As you can see, it's actually just a very sheer, soft wash of shiny color. It's not the rich blush that it appears to be in the pan. For example, I mean, look at it in the pan next to the Gucci blush. They look so similar. This is Gucci Rosy Beige, but that's an entirely different product, like an entirely different prospect. I think under the lights, we're really seeing the shine on this, but the thing that makes it great for me is how light and sheer it is. It's just a little bit of life in the cheeks. And, you know, it's because I'm so pale, right? I need a blush that's barely there, or it's likely to look overdone. And it's a matter of finish and formula in addition to being a matter of color. I go through phases where I wear this almost every day. It's my powder blush phases. You know, when I'm wearing a lot of powder blush and I want something that is absolutely impossible to mess up and works with anything, this is what I'm reaching for. I think everything else is going to need some hemming and hawing. So let me kind of get myself together and we'll actually start. Okay, so here are the products that I have already saved, right, that I've already picked out. This looks already like a pretty robust group to me. There's a powder blush in here. There's a highlighter in here. There are a handful of liquid and cream cheeks that are super easy to wear that I know that I reach for all the time. I think I can bring myself to work not to add too much to this while still not being too obsessively harsh. The Gucci blush. Listen, y'all, this can go. I haven't worn it since last year, since the declutter last year, and I kept it because it's so beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want this on her vanity? It visually, physically is the perfect piece of makeup. But as you'll know, if you saw my dedicated video review of this back in the day, there's just something about the finish and the way that it sits on my cheeks. It's like I need something a little bit more blurring and smoothing on my cheeks. And there's something about this. It picked up on the slightly uneven planes of the apples of my cheeks and my cheekbones, or at least that's how I remember it. But here's the thing, because I remember it that way, I don't wear it because I'm always worried that it's going to mess up my makeup look. And I don't wear that much powder blush, and I don't wear that much matte blush, and it's a matte powder blush. This Chantecaille blush is what I wish the Gucci blush was. And you know, I wish that the Chantecaille blush was in this beautiful Gucci packaging with the stars. Like I wish that it was this because I much prefer this. I love that it's Gucci. I love how beautiful it is. I just love it. And I don't know, I'm feeling harsh this year. I'm feeling like that's not a good enough reason to keep it. I just want this to be easily offering itself to me every time I consider a powder blush. I want to get the other powder blushes out of the way. So yeah, it can go. Wow. Wow, y'all. It's really happening. We're really doing it. While we're at it, I discussed Flirtatious, this Pat McGrath blush, in the recent video in which I applied makeup to my face as part of the process of trying to decide whether or not I would keep it. I decided in that video pretty much that I wouldn't keep Flirtatious. On me, the color is just too straight down the middle, run of the mill. It's not the special, pale, very neutral, nude, beige that I think this actually is for a lot of people, and that it kind of promises to be. It's just not that on me. On me, it's kind of a medium to heavy, regular pink. And just like the Gucci, even though it's incredibly luxurious, it's Pat McGrath, it's so beautiful. Even though it's all of those things, for me, it's gunking up the works. I want less. I'm the opposite of the Little Mermaid. I want less. You know, because she sings, I want more. Not me, my friends. Oh my gosh, I'm on fire. Okay, this is also gonna go. And I just stuck my nail in it. Speaking of my nails, you know, I usually have these like long, exciting nails for these declutter videos. I'm in a phase of life where it doesn't make sense to have those kinds of nails on and to be applying false nails and, you know, nail glue and all of that stuff. So this is what I've been doing. I got this bare hands kit. I'm just getting one of these because I got that stuff deep under my nail and I couldn't get it out. There, I think that's the best thing to be able to do. But I wanted to show this to you. I got this bare hands kit from Violet Grey. I bought it. I bought it specifically for this purpose because I was like, what am I going to do with my nails? It's this glass buffing file. You can only use it once a week because it's like removing a little bit of the keratin on the top layer of your nails. But once every week or two, I use it. I'll show you how it works. Like that. You like run it over your nails like that. And that's what's making them so shiny. I mean, see how relatively shiny they are? There's not a polish on them or anything. They're just shiny because I've been buffing them with this glass file. And it also comes with a little cuticle oil that smells really good, this little cloth. I'm a huge fan. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm on fire. I'm going to declutter this incredible piece of makeup. It's the Neo Nude, the Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balm in shade 20. This was a gift from my beloved friend, Lauren of Lauren May Beauty. As you can see, I've gotten a lot of use out of it. And that is part of what makes it okay, like makes it feel correct for me to part with it at this point. And it's also kind of busted, but in a great way. You know, it's like stuff's rubbed off the back. It's been all over the world with me. I've worn it on so many occasions, and I just haven't been wearing it as much lately. That's the thing. It's a really great color. I mean, come on. It's a really, really great dusky color. And I love everything about it. It's had its time. You know what I mean? It's had its time with me. If I had a much, much smaller makeup collection, I would just keep it and keep using it and maybe use it up. But I've loved it so much for so long, and now it is no longer the thing that I'm reaching for first. All of the things that I picked out at the beginning are the things that I'm reaching for first, and it just doesn't hurt to let it go in order to make space. Here's the thing about bronzer. I like to think that I wear it, and I don't. I wear it to test for videos. I feel like I should own it because everybody does, everybody has bronzer. And then it just sits in the back of my drawer, and all I ever do is wear blush. But the House Labs one, it feels so nice. So here's what I have to ask myself. What if these were blushes? Would I keep them? Would I want to keep them? I think it's just the promise of bronzer that makes me keep them. If they were blushes, I would say they're a little too orange for me. And, for bronzer, I really need a very, very red color. I need something really ruddy. In fact, you could kind of argue that Merit Fox is like a bronzer color for me. Like when I get sun and I have a healthy bronze, quote unquote, bronze flush, that's what color it is. These are just orange, but they're so luxurious. I love make. And I love this. And I want to keep it because it's this beautiful blue dot in my drawer. But my friends, I haven't worn it. I haven't worn it since the last time I decided to keep it. And neither have I worn the one from House Labs, although I love this creamy cream to powder formula. I'm decluttering them. If I'm not keeping bronzer, I'm definitely not keeping contour. I think that the idea here is that Kaleidos made this pretty broad range of contours, and the palest one is actually great for me. Like this is actually a true contour color for me that really does work. And it's very lovely, silky powder. And so the idea behind keeping this is like, I'm a YouTuber. What if I need a contour someday? If I ever need contour, won't I wish that I had kept the one that I had that works? I don't want to keep this whole thing around just in the event that might happen. For example, over this past year, my face shape changed pretty dramatically. It became much rounder, but I didn't start contouring. And if anything was going to start me contouring, wouldn't that be it? Like, isn't that why people contour? So if I didn't do it this year, I'm not gonna do it. And I didn't, so I'm not. Merit Bounce, I think I will keep. I think I will keep this. I started using this again recently. It's not as dry. The finish is not as dry as the one from Surratt, but it does provide something slightly different color-wise and in terms of the application because it has this kind of greasiness, like a slightly greasy gloss, but that means that you can tap it so effortlessly over other products. I also think I kind of over-apply it, and when you don't over-apply it and you buff it out more, it's not as slidey and it's still really beautiful. Like, isn't that a pretty kind of silky finish? I'm going to hang on to this. Okay, let us get at these Phytosurgence blushes. Here's the thing. I cannot keep them all like I did last year. I can't even look at them because they make me want to keep them because the colors are so rich and wonderful in this formula. It's like the way the formula takes color is just unbeatable. And I love color so much. And so looking at these, it really activates my art supplies magpie. I just want to dip my fingers into these pots and like finger paint with them and smear them all over the place. And I need to separate that impulse from the practical reality of my makeup drawer and what I'm trying to achieve here and the kind of life I want my makeup drawer. Okay, here we have Fume, Simmer, Fervor, Inferno, and Sublimate. And I'm getting blush everywhere. Hold on. There's condensate right there. I already have condensate. So what I was going to say, I already decided to keep condensate. What I was going to say is this. How different are condensate and fume? They're different, they're different. But given that I am keeping condensate, if I were just going to pick one from here, I think it might be Inferno because I just can't get enough of this rusty ruddiness. But Sublimate, why did I swatch them? What if I had just chosen? Instead, I had to go swatching them. Here we have Sublimate and Inferno. And I feel like in these swatches, you can kind of see that Inferno kind of actually has almost a little more white base to it. You know what I mean? Like just a little bit. Neither of these is remotely pastel, but I feel like Inferno is a little bit more pastel. I just love this so much that it's hard to part with any of them. But here's what I'm going to do, everybody. I'm going to get myself together. By the way, sometimes they get little crystals as they sit over time. The surface sort of crystallizes. I've sometimes seen comments worrying that that's some kind of mold growth. It's not. It's just a little bit of separation in the product. And if you break through it and mix it back together, it goes back to its old self. Okay, here's the situation. Here's what we're going to do. Fervor and Simmer, I've loved using The problem here is that this is a formula that I really love, and the colors are very artistic, and it makes me want to keep them all. But what I've learned this year, because I kept them all last year, is that keeping them all, I have too many, and I don't wear them. I think what I need is to have either 2, 3, or maybe 4. I feel like 4 might be pushing it, and then I'll have fewer, nicer things in this grouping, and I will actually wear them more. As it is, because I have all of these, I only ever wear condensate, because it's like I get decision fatigue when I try to choose among the rest of them. So I have to weed some of them out, even though they're the best blushes ever. I'm going to take out Simmer and Fervor, because Simmer, they're brighter than I kind of remember. They're very bright. I love the way they blend out on my skin, but remember at the beginning when I kept all of those kind of bright pink blushes, the Chantecaille, the Surratt, I kept blushes in this color category. So I'm going to let those ones go. We already know I'm keeping condensate. And then the question is, do I need both Fume and Inferno? And do I need both Fume and condensate? I think I do want to keep Fume because it's just a little bit more everyday than condensate. I'd like to get back into wearing it. And I think I'm going to do Inferno and let Sublimate go. Inferno and Sublimate in the day-to-day, they intimidate me a little bit because they are so dark. And I think just having one of the two of them, it'll embolden me. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do that today. Instead of looking at them and be like, oh no, not those dark ones. It's too much for me. I'm scared. All right. I think that's what I'm going to do. Actually, which one is more like Merit Fox? Let's see. You know, that's Merit Fox. And Inferno, when you build it up, it's like that's the color. But the thing is, I know that I love the way that Fox looks on me, and I love this Phytosurgeon's formula, and I want to wear it more. So I'm okay with the fact that those are color dupes. They're not formula dupes, not by a long stretch. It makes me kind of want to keep Sublimate too, but I'm going to resist the urge right now. We'll assess at the end. Oh my gosh, that was a tough one. We really got into it there. Let's do some easy ones. Westman Atelier Chouchette. I addressed this in that recent video, applying makeup. The formula is really lovely, and it's, you know, the dream luxury cream blush. It's just the color. It's like boring town to me, and I'm finally ready to face that fact and declutter it. Let's look at these. For some reason, I want to look at them together. Kjaer Weis Blossoming and Refi Rose. Ooh. The Kjaer Weis formula is so soft and creamy. I like pushed through it to the pan. They're actually not as similar as I kind of thought that they were. And they're both so creamy. Look at how pale that Refi blush is actually looking, the way that it blends out. And I remember really loving the way this looked on my cheeks with a brush. I'd kind of forgotten the delight that is this Refi blush, but I'm gonna keep it and try to remember to wear it more. In the moment, in this context, this pink of the Kjaer Weis, this is one of the best blush formulas in the world. I mean, like, I really, really love it. I think though, I need to look into acquiring some of the slightly grungier colors from Kjaer Weis, or there's one slightly grungier one called Desired Glow. This was sent to me in PR. I didn't pick the color. And what I was going to say is right now the color is feeling a little bit normcore to me. Desired Glow is a great color in this formula. Precious is like a very pastel peachy pink. I think I might just clear this out and allow myself to think about maybe acquiring one or two of those Kjaer Weis blush colors that I really, really love, instead of just being like, oh, I keep this and I keep using it because it works and because I love the formula. I'm not about that life right now. This rouge palette has actually succeeded in making me reach for a face palette, which I struggle to do. I tend to just reach for individual blushes and my face palettes tend to languish. I've been actually getting good use out of this. I put it in a Shop My Stash last year and I loved the glow that I was getting on my cheeks from it, and I've kind of continued to use it over and over and over again because of that since then. So I think I'm going to keep it this time. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter in Sahara. I have had this product. I've had I had 2, maybe 3 compacts of it, but I have had it and used it, and it's been a staple product for me since well before I started my YouTube channel, and it's been straight through. That's, 6 years at this point? Maybe the oldest product in my collection, in that it's like the thing that I've been using for the longest, but I haven't used it this year. What I use it for is to bronze up my neck a little bit so that there isn't so much contrast between my face and my neck. It just hasn't been as much of a concern for me lately. I've been less of a perfectionist, taking things a little more lightly. I just haven't used it. I also haven't been using as much powder. I do kind of feel like if I declutter it and then the day comes when I wish I had it, I'll miss it. I'm going to put it in a maybe pile. It's weird. I didn't think I would be decluttering this, but now that I'm here with it, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't use this anymore. That was my thought when I pulled it out. I was like, oh yeah, I stopped using that over a year ago and I just don't use it anymore. I'm gonna put it aside and see what I think. Let's take care of these last few. So these are both really shiny, glittery highlighting products from independent makeup brands. This one's from Unearthly, and it is the Twilight highlighter. And this one's from Odin's Eye. It's Lavender Dream. So they're toppers, basically. The way I feel about this is like when I want one, this is the Unearthly and this is the Odin's Eye. When I want one, I'm so glad that I have them. But when was the last time that I wanted a thing like this? Like I kept the Odin's Eye one in my declutter last year because I was like, when I want a thing like this, I'm really glad to have it. But I haven't used it since then. And honestly, this is a major culprit for, I don't know, what I think of as gunking up the works. When I look into my blush drawer, it's so eye-catching. I always see it and I'm like, oh, what, like get out of the way so I can find something that I really want to wear, because it takes up a lot of visual attention, visual space, but it's just something that I only really want to wear if I'm going to like a tango marathon, which is something that I did multiple times a year, every year, all throughout my 20s and part of my 30s. And it's just not likely to happen anytime in the next several years. So the question is, do I keep it like for that day, or I don't know, for like some kind of dress up or Halloween costume or something like that? Or do I say to myself, you know, if the day comes when I really want to make a splash like that, I could use an eyeshadow, for example, like a glitter eyeshadow on my cheeks. I could be resourceful instead of just keeping this just in case forever and ever and never using it. I think it's going to be the second thing. I'm going to get that out of my blush drawer. And it's kind of the same situation. It's a subtler, glittery shine. It's a really special product, really great. And that's why I decided to keep it. And it's just not what I'm choosing these days. It's a lifestyle thing. So I'm going to let that one go too. e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek, I do still use it. This was a backup that a friend bought and sent to me. So it actually hasn't been open for that long, even though this product has been discontinued for a long time. The thing that keeps me from using it is that it has been discontinued for a long time. And a lot of my makeup world, like my makeup wearing work, revolves around YouTube. So when I wear this on camera, if I put that in the description box, then I have to write, oh, sorry, it's been discontinued. The reality of my life is that when I see this now in my makeup drawer, I think, oh, it doesn't feel as alive to me because of that. And also I see comments sometimes that are like, oh, I'm so sad the e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek has been discontinued because you see me wearing it and you see me being passionate about it. The bloom is off the rose because of that. Is that enough for me to just like let it go? I mean, how would that make me feel? That's kind of the question. I just feel a little more likely to wear my Phytosurgence Cream Cheeks than I do to wear this. It's so good. It's like the formula is sort of unbeatable. Gosh, the highlight though, could I let that go? Because I don't know if the highlight from Rouge has really replaced this for greatness. I don't know. I'm agonizing. Let's assess the situation. This little can make guy, it's great. I end up wearing this a lot. It's one of those dry, shiny finish things. But this too, I think might be discontinued. I'll tell you, highlighter wise, right now, I feel more excited about the Surratt one. The Surratt one is kind of like a stick form version of this. This often ends up catching my eye when I open my drawer, and I reach for it and slap it on because I don't want to take the time to make a decision to wear anything else. But then I often feel like I could have done better if I had taken that time. Does that make sense? I don't think I will miss it all that much when it's gone. But let's assess the situation. Okay, here is what's happening. So this is what I proposed to myself. I opened my blush drawer and this is what's in it. All of these. Is that enough? I think it's more than enough. Too much? I don't think so. I feel like this is on the edge of being too much, and that makes me not want to add anything else back in. So I was thinking of adding Sublimate back in. I feel like this e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek, well, how would I feel if I took out the e.l.f. Active and I put Sublimate back in? Oh, but then I wouldn't have the highlight from the e.l.f. Active. How similar are they really? Oh, touching it makes me want to keep it. It's funny, there's this question of how similar they are, and then there's this question of how similar I think of them as being, which kind of is all that matters, you know? So there we have sublimate, and there we have, I've just mixed them together. But on this side, not that part that I just touched. I accidentally just touched that with the sublimate finger. But that underneath it is the swatch from the e.l.f. Active. And right here is Phytosurgent Sublimate. They're not actually as similar as they thought. In fact, I think that the blush from the e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek palette is kind of more like Inferno and Fox than it is like Sublimate. I think of it as berry toned, but it actually has a little bit more of that rust in it. This brown, as time has passed, I've learned is too warm for me. I have sort of learned that this is a bit on the peachy side for me, and it very much reminds me of the Refi blush that I decided to keep. I love especially the highlighter in here. The formula is great, but given that it's been discontinued and given that I have a lot of dupes in the colors, and honestly, I just don't end up reaching for it as much because it's a palette now that I have all these blushes that I love so much. When I originally fell deeply in love with this, my collection looked very different, you know? I think I can be happy with the more simplified collection that I'll have if I don't keep that in it. And honestly, one of the things that I love about the e.l.f. Active that I've always loved about it is its kind of stiff lipsticky formula, but swatching it just now, it almost feels too stiff to me. And I think that that might actually be just age. You know, it's a drugstore palette and it's years old, even though it's freshly opened. It's still a cream palette that was limited edition years ago. And I think it probably just isn't as nubile as it used to be. But I feel like that clears space for Sublimate to be in. And I've learned that with Sublimate, I'm getting something that I didn't even have in the e.l.f. Active, that slightly berry toned deep rust. This looks very doable to me. And you know, I think I'm going to keep the Kevyn Aucoin just for a little bit longer and see, now that I've resuscitated it a little bit in my mind, if I start using it again on my neck. Am I going to do that? I'm just not going to do that. I'm simply not going to do that. And you know, if I miss it, if I desperately miss it, this used to be something like $60 and it's in this huge pan. It's still available, but they've made it half the size and half the price. And I would rather have that. If I, 6 months from now, miss this badly, I'll be so happy to go buy the smaller one, a fresh one of the smaller one, because I think this piece of makeup itself is like 5 years old. So I'll be fine if that happens, but you know, I bet it won't. Look at this. Who knew that I, Hannah Louise Poston, would be swooping in here at the end of 2023 and basically having, is that right? 15, 17. So basically having is correct. If I decluttered one more thing, then it would have been exactly half because it would be 16 and 16. So for example, if I hadn't kept Sublimate, it would be exactly half. But I am going to keep Sublimate. It's close enough. Can you believe it? I'm very pleased. I feel free. I feel vicious and free. I'm really cutting ties. But the main thing that I feel is pleased that I won't have to make so many decisions and be choosing from among so many things. When I look into my blush drawer, decision fatigue is real, and it has been cutting into my joy, my ability to take joy in my products. It has been eroding my ability to even wear blush. It truly has. And I think that for some people, I mean, for past Hannah, I could have 3 times this much product and not get decision fatigue. Current Hannah needs fewer products in order to feel easy access to that sense of joy and to be happily wearing blush on an almost daily basis. This is really the right amount for me, and I have, I think, very good reasons for parting with all of these. So that's going to do it. This is going to be my cheek makeup going into 2023. This is so realistic for me. These are the products I've been digging out from my drawer and actually wearing. And a couple of things like this powder blush, the other Phytosurgent's colors, a couple of things that I haven't been digging out because they've been buried under the other products. And needless to say, I just feel more excited about blush right now than I have been feeling. And it's because this is so clear and approachable to me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to keep an eye on the channel because there will be more soon. We have the complexion declutter coming up, the lip product declutter. Will I be this thrillingly vicious in every single one of them? I have a feeling that I might be. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe if that's something you want to do. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.